In this experiment, you have a choice of showing light intensity or carbon dioxide concentration. We'll talk about the light intensity to show the effect of light intensity on the rate of photosynthesis. We're going to use a plant, an underwater plant called Elodea, also in English called pondweed. This is a plant that grows underwater, and it's used to produce oxygen. It's used as an oxygenator in aquariums and things like that because it gives off oxygen. Photosynthesis produces oxygen. It gives off oxygen, and we can see the oxygen bubbles and count the number of bubbles. The more bubbles we get, the greater the rate of photosynthesis. First of all, we take a test tube and we take some of the pond water. Elodea wouldn't be comfortable growing in tap water, so we use pond water. And we cut a sprig of the Elodea. Cut a longer sprig than that. Now, in cutting the Elodea, we cut it at an angle, at a slight angle, and that will give us a better stream of bubbles. And having cut it, we then remove some of the top leaves, just 2 or 3 of the top leaves, just for visibility, so that we can see the bubbles that emerge. Sometimes you have to give a little squeeze to the top of the stem to allow the oxygen to come out. We place the Elodea into the pond water and push it down below the surface. To make sure that the temperature is carried out at a constant, that the experiment is carried out at a constant temperature, we place the Elodea in a water bath. And the ideal temperature for Elodea would be 25 degrees. So using a thermometer, we set up the water bath at 25 degrees centigrade. We then place the Elodea in the water bath, and we switch on the light. Now, the plant, we're using a meter rule here to measure the distance from the light source, from the front of the light source to the front of the water bath. So at this point, we're 100 centimeters away. That would represent low light intensity. We have to leave the apparatus set up for 2 minutes to stabilize. In other words, to allow the Elodea to adjust to the new light conditions will take 2 minutes. So after 2 minutes, bubbles are forming. And what we do is we count the number of bubbles produced per minute. And we do that 3 times and get the average. So just counting the bubbles per minute. And we do that 3 times to calculate the average. The results at 100 centimeters were that the average number of bubbles per minute was 6 bubbles. So there were 6 bubbles per minute at 100 centimeters. We now move the apparatus in to the 80 centimeter mark, lining up the front of the water bath with the 80 centimeter mark. And we have to leave the apparatus there for 2 minutes to stabilize. Having left it for 2 minutes to stabilize, we count the number of bubbles per minute. And we do that 3 times and calculate the average. At 80 centimeters, the average number of bubbles per minute was 12. So 12 bubbles per minute at 80 centimeters. We now move the apparatus in to the 60 centimeter mark, again lining it up at the front of the water bath with the 60 centimeter mark, and we leave it 2 minutes to stabilize. Having left it for 2 minutes to stabilize, we again count the number of bubbles per minute, and we do that 3 times and calculate the average. At 60 centimeters, the average number of bubbles was 18. So 18 bubbles at 60 centimeters. Again, we move the apparatus into the 40 centimeter mark. Each time, of course, as we get closer, the light intensity is getting greater and greater. We leave it there for 2 minutes at 40 centimeters to allow the Elodea to stabilize. At 40 centimeters, the average number of bubbles was 22. 22 bubbles at 40 centimeters. Again, we move the apparatus in to the 20 centimeter mark, and we leave it 2 minutes to stabilize. At 20 centimeters, the average number of bubbles was 24 bubbles. We now have to convert from distance to light intensity. And to do that, we use the formula light intensity equals 10,000 over the distance squared, where the distance squared is given in centimetres. The results obtained are shown on the slide.